Am I live?
You're live now, yeah.
Thank you. Hello and welcome to the YBMB show. I think we are number 94. So we've got a lot of content behind us now and 6 or 7 more to go, where I'm going to be coming up with some really useful, I hope, summaries for you of some of the things that I've covered. Today is Monday, so it's Body Day. We talk about bodies on a Monday, mindset on a Wednesday, and business on a Friday. And so today I thought I would summarize some of the things that when people say, you know, what do you do to sort of stay healthy and fit, and you know, what the top tips. There are so many things, but what I thought is if I list the top 20 for you, you could maybe even undertake a program of like a 20-day challenge or even a month challenge, you know, just do Monday to Friday and just start one of these things each day. And there are some sort of bonus ones at the end, which if you stay till the end, you'll be able to benefit as well from, although I haven't particularly spoken about those before. So without further ado, I'm going to rattle through them, and some of them are pretty obvious and some maybe not quite so. So first one, and bearing in mind, sorry, where I got this from, obviously I have implemented a lot of it myself, but not just that. I am obviously a keen listener, like many of you are, of podcasts, a reader. You know, I've always been an avid reader. I've taken it upon myself to really research into longevity, and you get some themes recurring, you know, and even people that are really presenting themselves as cutting edge, you know, where they are working with Nobel Peace scientists and things like that. You know, those ones in particular I like to listen to, and even there, you know, you do get certain recurring themes. So those are the ones where I've sort of pulled those out as, if so many people are saying it, then there must be some elements of truth in it. And again, you know, I've implemented a lot of things, and you know, I think we all know when we do certain things that we feel really good, we know they're working for our body. So much of this as well is about trying something and seeing how it makes you feel. First one is almost totally conclusive if you listen to anybody talking about wellness for the body, and that is sleep. It's a lack of sleep, or a lack of deep sleep, is apparently one of the biggest contributors to an early death, believe it or not. And most certainly they say it's a contributor to Alzheimer's if you're not sleeping. So having a certain amount of sleep, prioritizing sleep, making sure that your sleep space is, you know, conducive to restful sleep, so very dark and without sort of blue lights, and having a sleep routine before you go to bed is really critical. And people saying to aim for 8 hours, you know, years ago, people like Margaret Thatcher sort of set the trend that said, you know, I only sleep 4 hours a night, I don't need to sleep. But the truth is, it does catch up with you. And like I say, the research suggests that sleep is probably the most important thing. I mean, human beings have to do it. It does seem a silly thing to have to do when you think that, you know, our sort of original self, you know, when we were living in caves, we probably could have afforded not to sleep because we didn't want to be sort of eaten up by lions and tigers. But the fact is we have to. So sleep is the first one. Second one is sugar, minimizing sugar. I mean, if you can cut it out completely, then great. But again, sugar is known to be so bad for the body. Like I say, I've got 20 to go through here, so I'm not going to say all the ins and outs of why. But we have become sugar addicts in the Western world. And sadly, food manufacturers put sugar in things that you just wouldn't even know. They even put sugar in cigarettes. So cutting out sugar is a real great thing that you can do for your body. So that's highly recommended. On cigarettes, by the way, just don't smoke. Smoking, again, is one of the most obvious things that we can stop doing to protect our body, and that we really shouldn't be doing in the first place. It's so obvious how bad it is for us now. So, you know, with all of the warnings on the boxes and everything. So if you can't stop smoking, then get one of those books from someone like Alan Carr. And I know lots of people who've managed to really quickly stop smoking, even though they've smoked for years. You know, my mum's one of those people. So stop smoking. So that's 3. Right, number 4, oil. Got to say that oil is probably one of the most, excuse me for one moment, just want to just get rid of that noise if I can. If I can. So another thing is oil. And what I mean by that is olive oil. The benefits of olive oil, absolutely incredible if you can get them into your body. Now, olive oil is obviously highly calorific, so you don't necessarily need to consume all your olive oil in terms of eating it, but you can put olive oil all over your body, on your face. I learned this from an osteopath in America a few years ago now, but olive oil is known, our brain is 70% fat, and olive oil is known to be one of the best health-giving products for health-giving properties. So having olive oil through olives themselves, through the oil, and putting the oil in your skin, highly recommended. Plants, having plant-based diet. This does not mean having to be vegan. It does not mean having to be vegetarian, but basically, consuming plants with every meal, certainly consuming plants every day, any sort of type, it doesn't have to be a particular type of leafy green, although it is known that those with dark skins, and they've got polyphenols in them, things like blueberries, blackberries, the dark leafy greens, so the darker leaves on the outside. And the reason for that is quite interesting, actually, that plants, they have to have these polyphenols in them to protect themselves against being eaten by insects. And so the outer leaves and the darker ones are the ones that have had to work even harder to protect themselves from being eaten by insects. So they're stronger and more robust, and that's what we want to get into our body. So plants. Fiber is another one. So anything that's got high fiber in it, and you want to be aiming for a minimum of about 20 grams of fiber in your diet. If you use MyFitnessPal, it will tell you the amount of fiber that you've consumed. So fiber is really important to help carry the nutrients through your body, and to make sure that you're not getting blockages and bloating. So fiber is really important. Next one is protein and healthy fats as well. I've spoken a lot about, when I've talked about MyFitnessPal and things like that, I've spoken about the fact that in the Western world, we have too many carbs and we have not enough protein and not enough fats. You ought to be having protein with every single meal, and healthy fats as well, things like avocado, mackerel, salmon, fish oils, basically. Actually, I didn't mention fish oils when I talked about oil, but making sure that we have healthy fats. A really low fat diet is really not good for human beings in the long term. You might do it for a short window of time. If you're trying to lose weight, control your fat intake, but certainly you've got to have some healthy fats. Processed foods, just get rid of them, really. If they come in a box and they've got, several ingredients and all sorts of things in them that you've never heard of and you don't understand, suffice to say they are overly processed and they're not going to be good for your body. And although our poor bodies are good at, dealing with these things, in the long term, it's not good for us. So cutting out processed food, trying to minimize medication. And that means not, constantly running to painkillers and things like that. If you can avoid it, very often if you've got things like a headache, just drinking water is really going to help. So trying to avoid medication if we can. And I'm actually very pleased to say that there have been a number of people on the YBMB program that have been able to come off medication they've been taking for years, particularly blood pressure medication, particularly those people who've been pre-diabetic. They've been able to come off of things like that. They've managed to cure themselves through food, and that is what you can do. So and there's lots of books you can read along those lines. One called The Plant Paradox, for example, would be very interesting for you to read if you haven't already. So trying to reduce your reliance on medication and have an aim to get off it wherever you can, and always question, if you've been given something on the long term, question how much longer you've got to take it. Should they adjust your volumes? Because doctors will prescribe something, and then if you don't go back, just basically keep re-prescribing it for you. Doing things that build your muscle mass. That I'm a big advocate of weight training, and particularly as you get older, becomes even more important, not just muscle mass, but also to put weight onto your bones as well, to keep your bones strong. So doing weight training and putting your muscles under tension and under load is known to be very important for your health. Cold therapy. That's also something that seems to keep coming up, is to submit yourself to maybe a quick burst of a cold shower every morning. Some people you jump into a cold plunge pool, but at the very least, be splashing your face with really cold water. and maybe, you know, just turning the shower to cold before you get out of it, known to be really good. Deep breathing. We tend to shallow breathe quite a lot of time, but you can do things like box breathing. So breathing in for 4, holding for 4, breathing out for 4, holding for 4, and then repeating the whole process and doing that for a couple of minutes, known to be really good for our lungs as well, and to basically put more oxygen in our bodies. Movement, you know that I'm a big advocate of movement, and that also means counting your steps, and I've done a whole thing on steps. I won't go into too much detail now, but certainly to be moving your body every single day, staying active throughout the day. Don't sit at your desk for too long, you know, jump up every hour or so, even if you've got a rebounder, jump up and down on that. And cardio as well. I don't say that cardio is essential. I mean, you know, I have run a marathon and done lots of cardio in the past to change the shape of my body. Certainly weight training was the thing that did it, but for health and for lung health and lung capacity, cardio really helps. So 2 or 3 sort of little short runs per week, or some sort of form of cardio in the gym. Gut health is known to be, you know, more and more now that's coming up in findings and conclusions from scientists who are looking at our overall health. We need to look after the all of the biomes in our gut, and they say that, you know, our gut health dictates the health of our whole body, and even, you know, down to the way that we feel mentally. So looking after our gut through all the things that I've just mentioned, actually, and looking at pre and probiotics as well, very important. I've talked about not smoking. I didn't mention about alcohol. Alcohol has no nutritional properties as such, except for red wine, which is known to have some of these polyphenols in, although you would have to have a lot to get really the same amount of polyphenols as you would through a serving of blackberries and blueberries. So better going for the blackberries and blueberries. But if you are going to have some alcohol, have it in moderation. And, you know, white wine is known to be good, but really minimizing alcohol is obviously much better for us. I'll come on to this one in a moment. Fasting is something that I get asked about a fair amount of time. And there's no doubt about it that if you do have fasting windows, number one, it gives your digestive system a time to rest. And while it's resting, then your body can clean up in other ways. It can go around and look at these cells which are sort of dying off, and you know, clean those up, get rid of those, and generally look after our body, and to make sure that you know, the seeds, you know, apparently there are seeds of cancer in all of us, and this starts off with these cells which are sort of dying off. And so if we give ourselves fasting windows, and that needn't be, you know, not eating for a whole 24 hours, but it can be not eating for 12 hours, you know, not eating for 15 hours. If you have your dinner at 7 o'clock and you then don't eat until 9 or 10 in the morning, you know, and just have maybe coffee with oil in it first thing in the morning, so you don't break that fast, then that's enough to give your body the time to do its spring cleaning. So fasting is really good, and it does help you as well with a slight calorie deficit. Hydrating, I haven't mentioned that, but with you know, very beginning of the YBMB program, one of the things that I tell everybody, and I got taught myself, is that if you're drinking a reasonable amount of water, it's probably still not enough. You know, we always need to drink more than we think, and drinking 2 to 3 litres per day is recommended. And it really it makes you feel so much better. It makes your skin glow, and, you know, reduces bloating, your hair, your eyes, everything is better, and you actually sleep better as well. And it's such an easy thing to do if you can get into a routine of always having a glass of water around you, by your laptop, etc. So hydrating is key. Sex is something that I haven't mentioned before, but it is known that, you know, if we don't have sex as humans, it always gives a message to the body, to the brain, that actually our reproductive days are over and we're no longer needed. So you need to trick your body into thinking that it is needed, and even if you're not going to reproduce anymore, you can trick it into thinking it is from having sex. So that's recommended. I think the 20th one is, in fact, I've got 21 here. The 20th one is supplements. People ask about supplements. I've spoken to you before about a really great product called Bionics, where they come to you, they take your blood, they check out all of your levels of nutrients, and they give you a bespoke mix for supplements. So I would recommend that. Bionics is what it's called. But if you want to sort of step just sort of more gently into the whole supplement world, then taking vitamin D, which is something that we can't make for ourselves, is highly recommended. Same with zinc, same with magnesium, and maybe a multivitamin, including vitamin C, because we can't make that either. And fish oils are certainly the ones that I'd recommend. And then just finally, taking it, I suppose, that little next level. I've talked about getting bloods, checks out, and you can do that via Bionics, or you can just go to your doctor and get that done. It is good to get your bloods checked for cholesterol as well, and things like that. But finally, having an MRI scan once a year, which really is the sort of the big daddy of having a look at your whole body, because it takes micro photographs of every single part of your body. It means that they can have a really good look at your organs and all of your arteries and everything that's going on in there, and just detect if there is anything that could be going slightly awry. And then they obviously prevention is better than cure. So that is a whistle stop tour of a top 20 things that you can do, or 21 actually, that you can do to keep your body fit and strong. And like I say, if you just wanted to start one of those every day and do it over a period of a month, then that might be a nice way of going in, or even, taking it more gently and over a period of a year, just saying, right, I'm going to start one of these every single week. So I wouldn't say that, things like cold therapy, I've particularly mastered. I find it very, very hard to have a completely cold shower. But I have got as far as just splashing my face with cold water. And so, you don't have to do all of it tomorrow, but you can start gently, and knowing that it's helping the one and only body that you have, your one and only vehicle. And it's with this vehicle that we can then go on and do all the other things that we want to in the world. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it was useful, and I will see you on Wednesday. Bye-bye.